It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the best show that you'll ever know. It's the Dep Lewis Show, and this is episode 20. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, February 19th, 2023, doing a Sunday episode. That's the standard version of the Dep Lewis Show, is a Sunday episode. So here we are, doing a great Sunday show for episode 20. So welcome to the show. I hope you're all doing great out there, you lovely people, you nice people. Hope you're doing good. Hope you've been having a good week. Since we talked last, it was a Thursday last time we talked, and so I played a good bit of video games. Been living my life out here. Dep Lewis Show is relocating this week. So there's a lot going on in the universe here, but there's also a lot of video game news going on. So that's what we're here to tackle today. So the first order of business is to tell you what to do. Follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review. Turn on notifications and tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback you have to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. That email box is open 365, 24/7. Got eyes and ears on that email box all time. So please send some feedback or some questions, or just, if you want to say hey, or if you just want to say, hey, this is the best show in the universe, please email DepLewisShow@gmail.com, and you might even get a response. You never know. There are full episodes of Dep Lewis Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. So pretty much anywhere you want to listen to a podcast, I believe the Dep Lewis Show is available there. The Buzzsprout page is a great hub to find the perfect place for you to listen to the show that you're already listening to right now. And there are clips of the show on YouTube and TikTok, so go check out those clips. You can see some gameplay footage with them. And another thing I'd like to talk about, so this is our note from last show. I was discussing, creating a longer form video, not too long, but a video showing off a video game. And it would be, me playing the game and talking over it in real time, and then uploading that video to the internet. So that's what I've done. Last week I was talking about what I might title these videos, and I decided to go with the Dep Lewis Shows Off series. So Dep Lewis Shows Off, insert video game name here. So I've done one of these already. It's called a Dep Lewis Shows Off Dead Space. I believe it's around like 18 minutes long. It has me playing around in chapter 3 of the new Dead Space remake. And I had a lot of fun doing it. And I put it on YouTube, and I also put it on Patreon. So if you want to watch it without ads, because YouTube automatically has ads if you're not a Prime or a, YouTube Premium member, you have to watch the ads on YouTube for anything. So I decided to put this on Patreon as well, where it could be ad-free. And I put it behind the ground floor tier subscription amount, which is $1 a month right now. For the first 100 people to subscribe to the Dep Lewis Show, you can get in for $100. So you can listen to the podcast on there if you'd like to. And you can also watch ad-free versions of Dep Lewis Shows Off on the Patreon. So hopefully one day this podcast will have some great advertisements in it, and they'll be putting some cash in the Dep Lewis Show bank account. And possibly the ad-free versions of the podcast could be on Patreon one day too. So this is a testing ground for that. So just to see how comfortable the huge Dep Lewis Show fan base is moving to Patreon at some point. So we will see. So now I've put the the Dep Lewis Shows Off Dead Space on Patreon and YouTube. So go check that out if you'd like to. It shows some pretty cool footage. It shows me being scared, and Chapter 3 has actually been really, really cool in that game. So I think it was a great time to highlight it, and I got some good footage to show you. You get to see me die, and then you get to see me bounce back and figure it out. So, please go check that out on YouTube or Patreon if you'd like, and leave some feedback, or give me some feedback on it. So let's see what else I have to say from last show. That was the main thing. I was going over that and recorded that Dep Lewis Shows Off shortly after. So that was fun. I'm going to do that. I'm going to start doing that more often with video games, especially new ones I get that I want to show off. Maybe I'll start doing that in the first week or so of release to get some video out there on the internet, of the new game that's out, and give my thoughts on it. So I think it's going to be a really fun thing to do. I haven't thought about it too much since after doing the Dead Space one, but I'm going to. That is on the docket for the Dep Lewis Show, for the great expansion of the Dep Lewis Show into being a mega show, the best show in any universe, not just this universe. It's going to be the best show ever. So that's what we're tracking towards. So, just welcome to the show. This is episode 20. We're going to have a great show for you today. We have the What I've Been Playing section. We're going to talk about the games that I've been playing this week. We got the What I've Been Seeing section. We're going to talk about some games that are coming out. We're going to talk about a piece of hardware that came out. And we're going to talk about a movie. That's the teaser for the middle section of the show today. of the mid section of the and then in the end section, the miscellaneous talk section, we're going to get into some sports. The official teams of the Dep Lewis Show have been doing some stuff, so we're going to talk about that in the final section of this show. And so that is going to lay the groundwork for what you're going to hear today. So just thank you for being here. So let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. All right, everybody. So the first game I've been playing this week is Splatoon 3, the Dep Lewis Show Game of the Year for 2022. The best game that was released in the calendar year of 2022 and beyond, because I've still been playing this game. And I got to play the wonderful Splatfest. That was, I guess it was last weekend. It was Friday through Sunday. It was the chalky battle, the dark milk or white chocolate battle. So I was Team Dark, and I was in the dark going brazy like YG. But the white chocolate gang, they're the ones who came through on top. I think the white chocolate gang, I think they dominated all the categories. So I've been on the losing end of the last two Splatfests, and I was on the winning end of the first two, I believe is what it was. So now I'm on a losing record of the Splatfest of my best game of 2022. It's unacceptable. So I'm gonna be tuned in to watching for when the next Splatfest is, so I can get back in there and reclaim my team's crown, you know? So the White Chocolate Gang won. And what else has happened with Splatoon 3? Nintendo has announced that Wave 1 of Splatoon 3's expansion pass will arrive on February 28th. So that is only 9 days away from now. And this lets players return to the original Splatoon's Inkopolis. So this basically is a skin, it's a skin for the overworld, basically. It just changes your overworld to look like Inkopolis from the first Splatoon. It sounds like all the functions of the city and the hub world will be kind of the same, besides some, like, the aesthetic or visual portion of it. So I don't know. I think this was a little bit underwhelming of a announcement unless you were a big Splatoon 1 player. And I don't know. I think it would be cool if it had some exclusive items or something like that. But just having the scenery change would not be enough for me, not being a big Splatoon 1 player. But it certainly looked cool. And if you were just buying this expansion pass and it was part of it, it would be a neat option or neat thing. But I don't know if this itself will be moving the expansion pass for this game. I think the second wave or there's supposed to be some more single player content coming out for Splatoon 3 that looked really cool. They had a teaser trailer thing for that. And I forget, it has a short name. It's like 2 words. It might be side something, but that looks really neat. And I think that could get a lot of people into the expansion pass, including myself. And then this first part of the wave, the Inkopolis, would just be, a little bit icing on the cake. But Inkopolis, which was the hub area in the original Splatoon 3, will return in all its glory. This is what the Splatoon folks are telling us. Players can go shopping at all the classic stores, walk down their favorite streets, and see performances from Squid Sisters Callie and Marie during Splatoon 3's Splatfest events. So the concert portion is the thing that is enticing me the most, because I used to love the KK slider concerts in Animal Crossing. Those would happen on Saturday. You could catch KK in the town square, jamming out on his guitar, and he'd give you a copy of his record after he played it too. So you could tell him to play a song you wanted, or you could tell him to pick something, and then he'd always give you a copy of it at the end too. So KK Slider is a really, really great guy, and I hope the Squid Sisters will be the same, Callie and Marie. So I don't know. I would maybe like to see what's going on with these concerts in here, so I could be picking this expansion pass up just off posterity of loving this game. But I have until February 28th to decide if I want to make some movement, and I just want to let you know that it's possible. So congratulations to the White Chocolate Gang for winning the Splatfest, even though I'm not really too happy about it. But what can you do? I had a great time playing the Splatfest as always. I like all the little titles you get. I like the different colors they use. I like the team dynamic, and it's just really, really fun. I like that it's a really fun weekend for Splatoon 3, and it just puts Splatoon on the brain that weekend. So I probably played maybe 3 sessions with it that weekend, maybe 2 or 3, and really, really enjoyed it. So I'll be looking forward to the new Splatfest, whenever that may be. I think it might be maybe 2 months away, I think is what we said. And I will report to you as soon as I know, because I'll be wanting to jump into that. So go play Splatoon 3 either way if you haven't. It's very, very fun. And we have some expansion pass content coming up soon. So what a great time to get into Splatoon 3, the game of the year for 2022 for the Dep Lewis Show. All right. The next game I've been playing this week is Fire Emblem Engage. And that's probably been the main game that I've been playing since it released on January 20th. I'm on chapter 17. I'm right at the beginning of chapter 17. I saved right before the battle. I'm not sure I've been doing the prologue stuff in this game. I've done a few of them, so I may need to go back and do some of these if I'd like, or maybe I'll do this on my second playthrough. Chapter 17 is a battle of 6 rings versus 6 rings, and it looks like it's going to be very good. Vale, I believe is her name, is taken over and corrupted, and is making Ivy, my girl Ivy, fight her corrupted father. So, oh, hell no is what I said to that. So, me, Vin is my divine dragon, so me and the divine dragon Vin need to kick these motherfuckers' ass. And, I was cursing, but I heard, I don't really care, but I heard YouTube's cracking down on having curses in the first 5 minutes of your episode. So that would only affect the show on YouTube, but I'm going to kind of do whatever I want. But I've heard a lot of people this week on podcasts I listen to talking about these updates to YouTube and some of these changes and how it's affecting them, or how they're changing their content a little bit around it. Which I don't know if that's the best idea, but I am also just a new podcast, so what do I know? But very cool. Fire Emblem Engage has been very fun. I'm still using most of the characters with the emblem rings on my team, but you do have to use some other ones as well. And I think Ivy is one of my favorite characters so far. I just boosted her magic up. I just gave her some type of item that boosts her magic. And Vin, obviously. And those are really my 2 main ones that I'm going into battle with. And I don't know, I'm really, really liking this game. I think I'm on chapter 17. I think there's about 10 more chapters. So I should be finishing this game up in probably a month or so. But I'm having a whole lot of fun with this game. I really like the battles. I don't really like the stories, just kind of throwaway. I would say if you're paying attention to the story too hard, you're kind of doing it wrong. You can definitely skip the story. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're watching it, you just need to take it with, I don't know, a grain of salt is the right word. But you need to have a lighthearted approach to this story and not take it too seriously. Because if you take it any form of seriously, then you're probably going to be disappointed by it. But other than that, it's just a way to learn the characters and see how they act and get a little bit of their personality, which really doesn't matter too much in the battle. Besides, you'll have characters that you like and you want to bring on your team. So that's really the main purpose of the story, is so you feel a little bit cooler, I would say, with your fighting with your characters. But the game itself and the gameplay itself is fun enough to do without the story, and the battles are very long, and there's a lot of prologue battles, and you can go back to other areas that you've already completed because there's different bosses on there. So you can totally treat this game, as the Fire Escape podcast would call, as a Dewey game, where you're doing stuff the whole time. So they break games down between Deweys and talkies. And so if a game's talking a lot, though, it's a talkie game, and they talk about the Dewey to talk ratio. So I think that's a funny and pretty descriptive way to talk about a game, to let people know what's going on with it. So Fire Emblem Engage could actually be a little bit of both, but it can also be mainly just a Dewey game. So I just want to let you know that. So Fire Emblem Engage, me and Alir, a.k.a. Vin, a.k.a. the Divine Dragon, have been kicking ass. And it's not all the way sweet. This game is, later on in the game adds more elements in the environment that are tricky. So the most recent, I think, chapter 16 had water going up and down. It had tide. So if the tide was up and you were stuck in it, you couldn't really move as many spaces. And then, once the tide went down, then it could bring people right to your doorstep. I had one map where the character was building, you get a character on your team that's building ice walls. That's also the character that tells fortunes. That's pretty cool. So, the Somniel has been another great hub world for this game. I really love the Somniel. I think it's fun. I think it's fun walking around there. I think it's relaxing. I think it looks cool. They keep adding some new stuff to it. I have that weird little guy in the cave with his wings that look as cute. And I talk to him, and he's my friend, and he gives me bond fragments. And it is just fun to walk around the Somniel. You're not going to get attacked. You're just going to walk around and talk to some people and see some things and pick up some stuff and regroup. And I don't know if it's hitting the highs of the monastery from Three Houses, but the Somniel is a very good little hub world to just, hit a few things and then get out of there. The monastery, you might have been spending some more time, I would say, but the smaller amount of time in the Somniel is nice. And I think they did a great job of making the hub world. I'm usually just following the mini-map, but sometimes when I do look around, I'm like, man, this looks really, really cool and nice, and I love Fire Emblem. So Fire Emblem right now is, I don't know, I'm playing another great game right now, but Fire Emblem is definitely on the Dep Lewis Show Game of the Year list for 2023 right now, where we stand in the second month of the year. So I highly recommend it to you. I highly recommend it to anybody. Even if you haven't played Fire Emblem, I would recommend this game, and you don't need to play other Fire Emblems to get into it. And I really don't know who would not like this game, unless you really don't like the tactic-based gameplay, which I'm trying to think, it could be, maybe some people would decipher it as being slower, but it's actually pretty fun, or it's actually very fun, and it's not slow. You can play at the speed you would exactly like to, and I don't know, I think the combat in this game is very, very rewarding, and it feels great to get to the end of the match, and you have 6 or 7 guys on the map still, and they only got 1 or 2, and sometimes most of the bosses in this game you have to kill twice, so it just makes you feel. There'll be a point in the match where you lose a character and you're like, oh shit, is this slipping bad? But then there'll be some point towards the end, if you're being successful, where you got a couple guys left and it's just their one enemy or whatever, and you have overwhelmed them and you're going to kick their ass to the moon and back. So Fire Emblem Engage, go play it. Alright, the next game that I am playing that I could recommend to you to go play as well is the Dead Space remake. And I don't like what's the word? There's a lot of confusion or a lot of discussion or a lot of disparity on what people are calling this game. So should you just be calling this game Dead Space? Should you be calling it Dead Space Remake? Should you be calling it Dead Space Remaster? Should you be calling it Dead Space HD? Or should you just be calling it Dead Space 2023? I don't know. But hopefully everyone knows what I'm talking about with Dead Space, and there's a new version that came out in January. A shiny, upgraded version that's changed some things, and I'm loving this game. I'm on Chapter 4. I just completed Chapter 4. I'm going into 5. I think there's 12. There's 12 chapters total. I had to fight a brute, and that was tough and crazy, and that's what you'll probably be seeing me do right now. I died by this brute, and then I also defeated this brute. And then I came across another brute and had to beat him. So that's been the scariest enemy I've seen in this game. Then when I was fighting this brute the first time, I kept messing. I was so nervous or whatever fighting him, I guess, that I was messing up the kinesis versus stasis. So this is something that I need to suss out and make sure I have dialed in with this game, because they do very different things. So I need to be more cognizant of using these elemental powers, because they are very helpful in this game and seem necessary in this game to complete some of these parts. The second brute fight, you had to see, now I don't even know, you had to stasis him, and I kept trying to kinesis him, and that wasn't working. I had to use my flamethrower like crazy. I was running like crazy. I was shooting him like crazy, and that was an insane fight. So if you're fighting these brutes in the improper way, it's really, really tough to beat them. And I'm playing this game on easy, so I really can't imagine what you have to do on the harder difficulties with these brutes. But really cool either way. It's really cool to have a big scary enemy. This game, I'm becoming tougher and tougher as I play this game. It's becoming less scary, but there's still obviously jump scares, and you're getting new enemies like these brutes that are scary. And I feel like that's exactly what you want from a horror game, a survival horror game. I haven't said that in a while. And this is a science fiction survival horror game. Sounds very, very cool. I'm really, really loving Dead Space. I would immediately say Fire Emblem is my favorite game of the year, but Dead Space has been right up there with this. Like, just very, very high quality of this game. It's very fun. It holds up very well from a long time ago. I never played the original, and I don't have any gripes or complaints in this game to talk about it being old or dated. It's really, really awesome. And it definitely has me wanting to play more survival horror games this year. And it has me looking at other games saying, okay, that kind of looks like Dead Space. I'm kind of losing right now what I was thinking of, but there was another game I was watching this week, and I was watching Dan and his sister Kayla on Twitch play Resident Evil 5, which I believe I've beaten that game multiple times, I think. But I haven't seen it in a long time, and I was watching them play it. And I'm like, man, I do love these type of games. They're really fun. And he was playing with his sister, so that was cool too. So maybe I'll get some co-op in one of these survival horror games one day. I think that would definitely relieve some of the tension. And it was just reminding me, I played Resident Evil 5 with a friend back in the day. And we loved the hell out of that game, and it was very fun. And I believe I even rented that at Blockbuster whenever that came out. So that's just a funny memory. I remember my friend and I, we had the day off or something, and we were just being bums that day, and we went to Blockbuster and rented this and just played through. I don't know if we played through all of it or most of it, but I really, really like this style of game, and it might not be something that I'm always playing, but This is going to be the year of me playing the survival horror. So Dead Space Remake, I am pushing through this game, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I just want to let you know that it's probably a great way to spend your money on buying this remake, especially even if you haven't played the first one, you can play this. If you played the first one, I think you should maybe try this out. I just played one of the sections that they always talked about in the first game that was difficult, and that is the zero G section outside where you're having to shoot the asteroids that come by. And I had a little bit of trouble doing this myself, but I really just wasn't following instruction properly, so it was really on me. But that area is pretty fun. You're out there in the zero G, and you have to fly up to these cannons, and then you're shooting these incoming asteroids that are hitting the Ishimura. And then there's actually some enemies out there too that are attacking you that I actually just avoided because I didn't really know how to deal with them too well in the zero G. But I was able to shoot off all the cannons, and I think you'd have to fight the enemies if you were doing a harder difficulty, because that was getting kind of annoying there at the end. But that section was really cool, and it was actually kind of difficult. It was difficult for me. I think it was maybe more of a me issue, but looking back on it, it was very fun, and it was cool when I completed it. It was one of those things where I tried it a few times and had to put the controller down, and I was like, I'll come back to this. And a couple days later, I fired it up, and I completed it on my first run because I sat there and thought about what I needed to do and how I was going to do it. So it just shows that a little bit of strategy goes a long way. A little preparation goes a long way. And the Dead Space remake is making me do that. So I actually had to buy some ammo, which I felt was very expensive in that game, but I didn't want to have zero ammo. So I don't know. This game's been very fun. It's very scary. I love all the abilities. Isaac's cool as hell. I love his suit. I love the enemies. I love the hallways. I love the exploration. I love the sounds. I love the visuals. I love everything in space. It's just so freaking cool, this game. So I highly recommend this game. This is definitely going to be on, I'll say definitely on the Game of the Year list for 2023 for the Dep Lewis Show. I think there'd have to be a lot of other really high quality games to come out, which it appears there might be. But I don't know. I think Dead Space Remake is going to be a great contender. I don't know if I'm liking it. I think if I had to pick, I'd give Fire Emblem Engaged a little bit of a edge right now. But I really don't mean that in any type of bad way. So go play the Dead Space Remake if you haven't. All right, the last game that I've been playing this week has been a random one that I picked up from 2022 that I played a little bit before, and I'm back into it a little bit, is TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. And I've been playing this again. Donatello's my main guy, and I'm on episode 10, and there appears to be about 16 total. So I knew I had completed a good portion of this little story in this game, and I just hopped back into it. I resubscribed to Game Pass last week. I paid $1 because they had a promotion going on, and this is interesting I want to bring up because this is something I'd like to track. Here, hold on one second. On something I like to track on. So I had bought an Xbox Live Gold card, and I applied it to my Microsoft account. And so my Xbox Live Gold is good until next year in 2024, March 2024, something like that. And so then when I went to upgrade to Game Pass Ultimate for $1, I paid the $1, and it upgraded me to Game Pass Ultimate, and it went through this thing and said you're going to be upgrading to Game Pass Ultimate. And so now when you look at my expiration, it says next charge is that same date in 2024. So does that mean that I somehow just got Game Pass for all those months, or is the Game Pass portion of my subscription going to cancel after the free month? Or is it actually going to charge me the whatever amount it is after the month? So that's my little experiment going on right now. I mean, it would be glorious if I somehow get Game Pass until next year and don't have to pay any more for it, but I can't imagine that'll be the case. But I wonder what they do in this situation, because Game Pass Ultimate includes Xbox Live Gold, and it includes the Game Pass portion of it. So, my Xbox Live Gold is already satisfying a portion of what you'd be purchasing there, so it's really just paying for the access to the Game Pass library, which you can do. So I don't know what it's going to do, but if somehow I can get lucky where I've paid $1 and upgraded my account for a year, I'll be walking on sunshine. I'll be walking on sunshine. And I have this whatever this means to get these points on this marketplace thing, and I can actually get another Xbox card right now. So I thought about maybe doubling up and putting that on my account, but I also thought about just holding on to those points. But it would be interesting if I could tack another year on and get Game Pass for that another year. That'd be pretty epic. So I downloaded some games from Game Pass just to put back on my console so I could play through them. And Shredder's Revenge was one of them because I knew I was sort of close to completing a playthrough of this. So I'm back going with the TMNT. It's very fun. I like the combat. This game does seem, it seems like a blast from the past of gaming. You're basically like moving around on squares on the screen and attacking these people and fighting these guys. But it's just very fun. There's cool music. It looks amazing. The levels aren't way too long. The bosses can be a little tricky. They give you a few tricky enemies, and it's just really enjoyable. This would be a fun game to play with other people, and you can play co-op, but it's also fun just by yourself. And this is one where you definitely can listen to a podcast or music, but the music in this game is pretty cool. It's pretty nostalgic. They're just singing about turtles doing things, so it's fun. So TMNT, Shredder's Revenge, very, very cool. I don't believe this did not make the Game of the Year list for Dep Lewis Show 2022, but it was something that I played and did enjoy. I really don't have any complaints about it, besides I just didn't play all of it. So if you'd like to go play some Shredder's Revenge, go play it. It's on Game Pass, or you can go buy that game anywhere. It's on Switch, would be a cool place to play it. It's on Xbox, it's on PlayStation. Just having Game Pass is a great way to play some games. So shout out to Xbox Game Pass. I put a few other things on my console. I put Signalis on there. I put Tinykin, which I've never played Signalis or Tinykin. I downloaded Shredder's Revenge. What else did I get from Game Pass? I don't know. I'm probably missing out on something, but there was at least 5 or 6 games that I downloaded and stuff I'd like to try at some point. So I'll be talking to you about that at some point on this show. But just shout out to Microsoft and Game Pass. It's very cool, and it's made for a great week of video gaming for me. So that's going to wrap up this first section of the show. So what I've been playing this week is Splatoon 3. I've been playing Fire Emblem Engage, I've been playing Dead Space Remake, and I've been playing TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I've also started posting, there's a first episode of Dep Lewis Shows Off, Dep Lewis Shows Off Dead Space. So please go check that out on Patreon if you like, if you're a ground floor tier subscriber, or check it out on YouTube if you'd like to watch it there. You can watch the whole video on YouTube, but you'll just have to put up with the ads if you are not a premium subscriber. And you should expect some more Dep Lewis Shows Off videos in the future. So just keep a lookout for those, and I'll definitely let you know if I'm posting those and where to watch them and what I'm doing. So Dep Lewis Show is the best place to listen to for Dep Lewis Show news. So that is going to wrap up the first section of this show, and we're going to come back and talk to you about what I've been seeing around the video game industry. We have seen a release of a video game. And then the following week, so next week, there's actually a lot of games coming out that are very high profile, so we're going to talk about those. There's actually a piece of hardware that comes out next week that's very high profile, so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about a movie that I just kind of figured out was going on. So please come back in just a minute for the mid-section of this show, and I'll have a lot of great stuff to talk to you about. So we'll see you in just a minute. Peace. Welcome back to Dep Lewis Show, episode 20. This is the mid-section. This is where I talk about what I've been seeing around the video game universe, video game landscape that is interesting to me. So we're going to get right into it. There's a game that came out this week that I'd like to talk about, and then next week is going to be a poppin' week for video game releases, games, and hardware. There's a piece of hardware coming out too next week that is going to be, shaking up the industry, making the industry go nuts, making people spend money, making people take their tops off. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be doing. It's going to be making people go buck wild out here. So in the what I've been seeing section, the first game I've been seeing that actually released this week on February 16th, 2023 for $49.99 on Switch and PlayStation is THEATRHYTHM Final Bar Line. And I finally learned how to say this game's name after hearing people play it or hearing people talk about it. Is THEATRHYTHM. So really makes sense. THEATRHYTHM Final Bar Line. This is there's actually a demo for this on PlayStation and Switch. And that's something I intend to play before I would possibly pick this up. And I actually watched Nextlander play this, and this game looks very cool. It's a rhythm game. It's including all the Final Fantasy music. So I think if you're a Final Fantasy fan and just the music, if you're a rhythm game and a Final Fantasy fan, this game is a must-buy for you because it has music from every Final Fantasy. I believe there's actually other games in here like Chrono Trigger that they add in there too with their music. So you can, it just looks really cool. I was watching Brad play this, and they have different characters from each game. You can build your party. You can go through each game and play those levels. You can bring your characters from that game to the other games. You have your 4-player party across this, and then the whole gameplay of this game is the rhythm game. So, I mean, I don't know. This seems really, really fun. I'm not necessarily a Final Fantasy, I'm about to say historian, but like I haven't played a lot of Final Fantasy in my day, so I'm not going to have too much knowledge, of the characters or of having heard this music before. But, any of the Final Fantasies I've played, the music has been one of the highlights. So that is something that makes me want to try this game. And it looks really cool, and there's a lot of content. And Nextlander actually bought the $100 premium version that gets you all the songs. So there's hundreds of songs in this game. I think they might have said at least 300 or something like that, possibly up to 500, I think they said. So a lot of music in this game. There's orchestral versions, and there's different versions of they, tweak some of the old stuff. They have some of the old stuff. It just seemed really, really cool. And I think I'm pretty sure I saw a lot of great review scores for this game. I don't know who would not like this game unless you just don't like this genre, possibly. But it looks like it's doing what it intended to do perfectly. And I think I could recommend this, especially if you're a Final Fantasy head and you like some rhythm games, or you just want to try some rhythm games. I think this could be really cool. I think this would be something I could buy if it wasn't during such a hot time where I'm playing other games. Maybe I'll pick this up on a sale at some point, but watching Nextlander play this, it almost had me convinced to drop the $100 on it. I'm like, man, I want to cop this. And it brings up the other question too of, do you cop it on PlayStation or do you cop it on Switch? And maybe I would cop it on Switch for the mobility, but I don't know. This game looks amazing. Not amazing, but it looks really, really good and really, really fun. And I don't know. It looks like something that you can have a lot of enjoyment from playing. So I just want to let you know that that's available now, and there's a demo out there. I've downloaded the demo. I actually thought about maybe doing a Dep Lewis Shows Off the THEATRHYTHM Final Bar line release demo. I think that could be a good idea. So maybe we'll see that on my channel at some point. So look out for that game. Looks really cool. I've been tracking that game for probably 6 months now, so I just don't know if it's in the cards for me to drop the cold hard cash on it at this point, especially with a bunch of other stuff coming out that could be tempting as well. All right, so then next week really begins. There's what's a good word for a flood? There's a flood of video game releases next week that people are going to want to play and be talking about and dropping their cash on. And I don't think I'm picking any of these games up, but each one of these games are something that I'd like to play, or that I could play, or that I could see myself purchasing, or I could see myself purchasing at some point. So we're going to get into that. We got 3 games to talk about. So the first one that comes out next week on February 21st, 2023 is a multi-platform release. It's on prior and current gen, so that is something that I'd like to bring to this show going forward, to let the listening audience know. Some of these games going forward aren't going to be released on prior gen, so it's just something you need to be prepared for and look out for and to be expecting. But Like a Dragon Ishin is going to be on prior and current gen for $59.99, and this is the next game in the Yakuza series that everyone loves. That I've gotten into Yakuza a little bit on the last release, which was Yakuza Like a Dragon. I played a good portion of that game, and the next one's coming out. So they've decided to rebrand this to Like a Dragon is now the name of the series, and this one's called Ishin with a exclamation. So you don't always see punctuation in game titles, so there's a call out right there for Like a Dragon. Got some punctuation, got a nice exclamation mark in the title. I didn't know if I was just excited to type this or if that was real, so it's actually real. So this game's coming out next week. I believe this will be on Game Pass. Well, is that right? If this is on Game Pass, I might be trying it because I have Game Pass right now. But want to let you know that's coming out. There's plenty of Yakuza games to play on Game Pass if you have it. So I think that could be one of the best places to play the Yakuza series and the potential future Like a Dragon series. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to call it a traditional RPG, but last game, you're Ichiban. You are in the Yakuza. I think you take the fall and you go to jail, so you have to rebuild your life up after that is what you're doing. So you are trying to build yourself out from actually being homeless, having zero money and having no food. And a lot of funny characters in this game and all those RPG elements. It has RPG battles. And I don't know. It's a really, really cool story. Kind of a crazy, over-the-top, funny story. So this is a cool game. I would say these games are cool. So if you want to play some Like a Dragon Ishin, you can on February 21st. Alright, then next week, we have a double dip of games on the 24th, which is Friday, so you can either play on the 24th. This is back in the day, like when Kanye dropped, I think it was Graduation versus 50 Cent, and they were having a huge battle of who's going to sell more albums. So these next games are probably doing that. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe and Octopath Traveler 2 are releasing on February 24, 2023, and they're both going to be $59.99. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is it's just continuing the Kirby train of, Kirby and the Forgotten Land came out last year on March 25th, 2022. So Nintendo is releasing a re-release of an older Kirby game on the 24th. So about a month apart. So it'll be interesting to see if this trend continues. Is Nintendo going to keep giving us Kirby games in March or around that time or first quarter? We will see, because Kirby. I think Nintendo Switch kicked off with a Kirby game pretty soon to when after it was released, but I don't think that game hit too hard. And the Switch came out, it's been out for 5 years now, 6 years almost, and the last 2 years we've been seeing some Kirby roll around and gaining some popularity. So this game is something that's on my radar. I would play this game at some point. I bet it's on the Nintendo voucher system, so that could help for purchasing this game too. That Nintendo voucher system, I just want to shout out this again. I think the best deal on there right now, so they have a list of games that you can redeem a voucher for. So you can buy 2 vouchers for $100 is what the deal is. And then there's this whole list of games that you can pay the price of a voucher to unlock. So the best deal that I can see right now is to buy Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for $69.99, and then buy another full price release, which is $59.99, and then you get that game for $100. You get both of those games for $100. So that's some pretty damn good savings, I would say, right there. And I'm going to execute on this at some point when I can decide what I want the second game to be for my voucher. They said that this pool of Nintendo voucher games will be growing throughout the year, so it seems like they're putting a lot of the new releases on this promotion. So I think it's really, really cool. I think it might be a tactic in the background for Nintendo to make people okay with bumping their prices up to $69.99. It's kind of a yin and yang, where they just announced that Breath of the Wild is going to be the first party Nintendo game to have the price increase to $69.99. So I think this is a good caveat to give consumers to have a way to purchase some games at a discount, but you just have to front up a little bit of additional cash up front. 100 opposed to 70, but you're actually getting a whole nother full price game, which is crazy kind of value. So I think it's actually pretty cool, and it's a pretty smart way to introduce this price change if that's what they have done. And I would assume someone around there has put those things together, beforehand and thought about it. So really, really cool. Check out the Nintendo Switch voucher system, especially with the releases of these games coming out. I mean, you could pick up Kirby and this Octopath Traveler 2 for $100. So Octopath Traveler 2 actually releases on the Switch and PlayStation, so that's PS4 and PS5 for $59.99 on the 24th. There's a demo for this game. There's also a demo for the first game for Octopath Traveler, which I actually played, and I never played past the demo. This game looks visually beautiful. There's 8 different characters, 8 different paths. This game is completely separate from the first one, so there's no story continuation that I know of. There'd be no reason to play the first game unless you just wanted to start with the first game in this series, so you can play more Octopath. But I think it seems like it's acceptable to play this game on its own without even having touched the first one or heard of it. And that first game came out in July of 2018, so it's just cool to see. That was a new IP at the time, and it's cool to see a new IP be successful and get a sequel. And the sequel seems like it's of decent quality, at least. I was watching Nintendo Voice Chat, and they were saying it was a little bit lukewarm. I think it was Seth who gave this game. I think he said he gave it a 10 out of 10 for the first one, and this one's only a 7. So he was saying the novelty of the first one coming out, where that hadn't been done. We haven't seen that art style so much. Now a lot of other games have either taken from that or put their own spin on the same kind of art style or kind of thing. Or we have more RPGs coming over to the Switch every day. Like there's Live Alive on there, which is, I would say, pretty similar in art style and a highly revered game. So either way, Octopath Traveler looks cool. It would look great on an OLED Switch, I would say, and I know it would look great on a PS5 as well. This game has a really unique visual style, and it's just really cool. It harkens back to old school gaming, but it also has a fresh coat of paint on it for the new world, and it just looks really neat. It's something I've always had interest in, but you really just can't play all the games all the time, so you gotta let them go. So, but Octopath Traveler 2 comes out on the 24th, and if you want to go pick up some games next week, it would be a great time to do so. All right, so those are the 3 big hitters of games coming out next week. But there's also something coming out for PlayStation next week that is a big deal, that actually costs more than a console, and that is the release of PlayStation VR 2. This comes out on February 22nd, 2023. I believe you can pre-order this, I'm not sure. It's $549.99. The back of the box says this is the next generation of virtual reality gaming. Experience new sensations with stunning 4K HDR visuals, groundbreaking new controllers, and genre-defining games, all made possible by the power of the PS5. There's cutting-edge performance, 100-degree field of view, and advanced graphical rendering. PlayStation VR Sense technology, feel-free sensations and emotions with eye tracking, headset feedback, 3D audio, and highly intuitive controls. There's a quick setup, jump straight into the action with a simple one-cable connection to your PS5 console. So that's actually pretty cool. They on the the promo page or whatever for PlayStation, they really do highlight that, where it's the lady standing there with the headset on, and there's really just one cord you can see going to the console. So that's a major complaint I've heard from many other VR setups where you have to have multiple cables going, and it can be a little confusing to set up. So this being a one-cable connection, I think is a very smart choice, especially for a console VR headset. So what you get in this box for $549.99 is you get the VR headset, you get a PlayStation VR 2 Sense controller, you get a USB cable for controller pairing and charging, you get a pair of stereo headphones, 3 pairs of earpieces, and printed materials. So, I don't know. I don't think I've seen anybody talking about this. I don't think I've seen any content on this, is what I mean. I'm sure there is some out there, and I'm sure people have gotten some of these headsets, but I think I've seen some unboxing videos. But I want to see some people, I want to see some video of people playing this and talking about it a little more after it's released, and I think it's a little too expensive for my blood. I'd love to have one to try it out. I've never really dipped into the VR. I've tried out a Quest headset at some point that a friend had that was really, really cool. I just don't know if the VR space is one that I'd like to get into, but this seems like a really, really cool one. If the price tag wasn't so high, maybe I'd be thinking about it. Or, if this ends up getting some kind of crazy reviews, and it could be something that I plan to buy at some point, because I would like to try some VR, because that is a missing piece to my video game knowledge. I've never really had one of those headsets and got into it and been able to talk about it and see what the games are and just what the whole experience is like as a whole and owning one. I've only barely tried it, or seen secondhand commentary on it, so I definitely do have some curiosity around it. I don't know if I would want to pay this $550, but I would like that it connects to my PS5, which I've already shelled out all the money for. I could buy a lesser version, of a headset where you don't connect it to something, but I don't know if I would enjoy the catalog of games it has or whatever, but I don't know. This is definitely, there's probably like a 10% chance of me buying this, but either way, it looks very cool, and I think it's going to be a big release for the video game industry. And next week's actually a pretty crazy week for video gaming. So with the release of this, there's also a Horizon Call of the Mountain is a bundle being sold for $599.99. So just add $50 more to your bill, and you can get the Horizon Call of the Mountain game, and you can conquer colossal peaks, overcome fearsome machines, and uncover a hidden danger to the world of Horizon. In the PlayStation VR 2 Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle, experience the sensations of heightened wonder as you explore and interact with the world around you in an immersive adventure through the eyes of new character Rias. So even in Horizon Forbidden West, some of the I'm scared of heights, and some of the sections in there where you climb to the top of the mountain and have Aloy jump off the mountain, makes that feeling in my stomach go that I don't like. So imagining that in VR would be pretty insane. And, I'm saying it's scary, and it would be scary to me, but it's very cool. And something I would like to try at some point. So I don't know. Having a Horizon Call of the Mountain game being sold with this is very cool, because I really like the Horizon Forbidden West game. And I don't know, it'd be something, it's definitely something to see. If you had this headset and you'd want to play this game and see what it looks like, it'd be awesome. So, I don't know. I think it's smart that they're releasing that with the release of this. And just very cool. I'm excited to watch some content on this more than anything. More than actually like wanting to buy one or try to pony up the cash for it. I really like to just see some content on this. So, I'll be reporting back to you on that, at least, of like what I've seen and what I think looks cool. There's other games that are coming to this. Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil Village will be on there. Resident Evil Village is something that I've thought about playing recently with my this is the year of survival horror for me. I'm still making my way through Dead Space, but Resident Evil Village. I've been trying to figure out, rankings of people's favorite Resident Evil games, and I think that's, one of the higher up ones on there and one of the more recently released games, so I bet that looks pretty amazing too. So something that I've just kind of been getting into for a plan for my video game future. But other launch window games will include No Man's Sky, The Dark Pictures Switchback VR, Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition, Moss and Moss Book 2 Cities VR Enhanced Edition, and Jurassic World Aftermath Collection. So there is some stuff coming to this. My general take on VR is there's a few experiences, if you buy one of these headsets, that are amazing and worthwhile and long lasting, and then there's more that are just more fleeting, small experiences that are kind of cool, maybe don't have a ton of substance to them. But that's just an outsider's take who has never really participated in the VR. But that's just kind of my general take on what I think it is. But I'm sure it's cooler than that. But I really like traditional console gaming. I like having the screen. I do like having the Switch. I like playing some handheld stuff, but generally I like playing on the TV with a controller. So maybe that's going to be an old school thing, but it's just the way I'm most comfortable and enjoy playing video games and the most relaxing. I'm still a little bit what's the word, adverse. I don't know if that's the right word, but not wanting to have a headset on while I'm gaming is a big hurdle to get over for me. So we will see. All right. So that's going to wrap up the releases for next week, which are a whole lot of releases. There's actually something I just want to talk about here. It's a movie that's coming out. I talked about it as a little quick hit. It's going to come out March 31st. This is the Tetris movie. I've heard people talking about this week, I guess because a trailer came out. So I wanted to bring some news to you on this. Sure. You might want to watch a movie, and you probably love video games. So this will be available to stream on Apple TV Plus on March 31st and stars Taron Egerton. Based on a true story, a Dutch entrepreneur who becomes so enamored with the titular, right? That word, that's come across this podcast before, and I hope I'm saying that right. Titular, the title screen. So enamored with the title, titular. Yeah, I still don't know how to say this game. He travels to the Soviet Union during the end of the Cold War in order to secure its distribution rights. There he encounters the game's inventor, Alexei Vizhitnov, and villainous KGB agents, all while navigating the increasing tensions between the Soviet government and the West. So this game is not Tetris fan fiction. It's not a story of how the blocks connect together and how they didn't fit together and then they lost the level. This is a game more about like the development of the game and it seems like the overarching story around the release of Tetris, which who knew that was like contested, and there was KGB agents and villains and inventors and Cold Wars and titular stuff, and based on a true story. But this seems pretty cool. This seems like it could be a good movie with some video game elements. It's what it sounds like, more than just a video game movie. But we will see. So I just want to let you know that that's coming out on March 31st. I really can't imagine that I'll be watching it, but it'll be interesting to hear the feedback on this and see if it's actually something that people are enjoying and recommending and liking. But just cool that it has Tetris involved in it, and shout out to them for highlighting some video games. That's what I'm here to do on the Dep Lewis Show. So that is going to wrap up the midsection of the show today. We talked about what I've been seeing out there. There was a video game release. THEATRHYTHM Final Bar release is out on 2/16, so last week. And then in this upcoming week, we have the release of Like a Dragon Ishin. We have the release of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. And we have the release of Octopath Traveler 2. We also have the PlayStation VR 2 release on February 22nd, 2023 for $550. And a lot of great things. And that Tetris movie is coming March 31st. So that's the What I've Been Seeing section this week. So I'll probably be reporting on some of the releases of these games next week, just talking about the overall sentiment of them. I don't believe I'll be playing any of these things, besides maybe the THEATRHYTHM demo. And there's an Octopath Traveler 2 demo out there if you'd like to go try that. And it's just a really, really great week for video games. This year is starting off super hot. I've been telling myself that I don't need to buy everything. I'd love to buy every game that comes out, but I just wouldn't have time or I'd go broke trying to do that. But I've made a list of all the games that must purchase this year, and there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of games that I like to try. So, my initial worry is being like, I'm not going to have enough games for a top 10. If I'm not playing everything, but it seems like it seems like I'll easily be able to do that across the course of this year with building a list. So I'm not going to stress about it, or try not to. And I'm going to play what I want when I want to. And I think doing it that way, I'll still have enough content to talk about. So it's a win-win situation. And, they're releasing tons of video games, great video games all the time. So I just have to kind of pick and choose which ones I want to play. So that's what I will be doing. So we're going to take one final break, and then we're going to come back for the final section of this show, the Miscellaneous Talk section. We're going to talk a little bit of sports, and then we're going to get you out of here for another great week of the Dep Lewis Show. So please go take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 20. This is the final section. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section, and today we're going to get into some sports talk. So the official NFL team of the Dep Lewis Show is the Carolina Panthers. They have been filling out their coaching staff, has been the main news there. They hired Detroit Lions DL coach Todd Walsh, I think it was, who and also joins Deuce Staley on the new Carolina Panthers staff. I also saw the Panthers hired D'Angelo Hall. The D-back who used to kick ass for the Falcons back in the day. So they got him on the coaching staff, and everyone in the media is talking about how the Panthers have a real coaching staff now. And I think it's true. They have a lot of adults in the room, it seems like. They have a lot of seasoned coaches that hopefully will work well together. I saw we got Jim Caldwell. So I'm excited about this. This is going to, I think they're doing a good job of the rebuild and the rebrand and the restructure. All while hopefully, they've had a bunch of down years here. So hopefully they'll just get the thing trending back positively. Right now would be the only goal. And another football news, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Good. Congratulations, Chiefs. And they're already the favorites to win next year, but they do. They're a wagon. They look really, really good. The Rihanna concert at halftime was cool, and the Super Bowl was a great game, so that was pretty amazing. It's always nice, especially if you don't have a dog in the fight, to just have a good game. One of my friends won some money on the game, which was very nice. He made like a $20 bet and multiplied that by a whole bunch, so very, very happy about that. And I'm trying to think of other football news, but the main thing I'm looking forward to in the Carolina Panthers world is the draft coming up and what they're going to do with the quarterback situation. Are they going to take the Derek Carr bait? I kind of hope they don't. I hope they draft a guy in the first round in the top 10 and let him start and let Matt Corral back him up or whatever. Just let the young guys try to do this instead of trying to find a diamond in a rough with a guy who hasn't really produced yet, which could be like Derek Carr. Derek Carr has produced, but you'd be picking him up at his lowest performance, I would say, right now. So who knows if it's going to go back up. But the Carolina Panthers have a whole offseason to fix things, and I think the way they're building the coaching staff has been really, really good and positive, and I'm just interested to see what they do with the quarterback and how they handle some of these free agent situations like Shaq and Brian Burns. I think Brian Burns needs that extendo. I think he needed it yesterday for his skill set being so damn good, and we need to sign him to our team. We need a D-end. We need someone to rush the passer, and he's one of the best in the league, and we should pay him, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So Dep Lewis Show says pay Brian Burns. That's the main thing I'd like to say in this section for the Carolina Panthers, the official NFL team of the Dep Lewis Show. Pay Brian Burns. Give him an extension. Extend that man and let him stay on the team and wreak havoc on offenses for years to come. Please, we need him. So that is my plea for you today, Carolina Panthers. All right, the official NBA team of the Dep Lewis Show, the Atlanta Hawks, are on a break right now because of the All-Star Weekend festivities. So February 24th is his next Hawks game. It's a home game versus Cleveland. And then they'll have Brooklyn Wizards, Trailblazers, Heat, Wizards, and Wizards. So should be a lot of opportunities there for the Hawks to get some wins. I would say they have a chance in most of those games. I think Cleveland's actually doing very well, so that could be probably the tougher one. And then the Trailblazers could be tough as well. All those matchups against the Wizards is pretty funny, and the Hawks should plan to get at least two of three of those, if not all three. But let's see. They beat the Suns on February 9th. John Collins came out firing after the trade deadline. After the third trade deadline of multiple and tons of rumors, he came out and played well, which is nice to see. So I think that shows us that John Collins has some very is a very tough-minded person. He has some mental fortitude. So, and I'm a John Collins fan, so I'm glad he's still on the team. I just think I don't know. I don't know if the mix of this team is correct, but we have a whole second half of the season for this team to gel and get used to playing with each other. They're playing 500 ball, all season. So not in the worst spot, especially in the East, which is kind of depleted. But the Hawks really got to, get a fire under their ass to really make a run at this in the second half. So hopefully they're doing so. I don't know if there's many Hawks in the All-Star festivities, so they're all getting a break at least. And that's me trying to bring some positive spin to this Hawks situation. But I do enjoy watching them. I think they have a lot of great pieces. I'm still happy they traded for DeJounte Murray. I'm happy we didn't trade John Collins. I think Trey needs to figure some stuff out. I do love some Trey. But I think this team in general has some stuff to figure out. I think the Nate McMillan thing's a big elephant in the room of I don't know how well that's working. And, All-Star break going on. Hawks are 29-30. They're second in the Southeast Division. And I don't know. I'll be watching Friday to see what they're doing. They need to get back on track, and they need to get on track as soon as possible. So we will see. For the Hawks season, their leading scorers have been Trey, followed by Murray, followed by Hunter, followed by Bogey, followed by Collins, Capella, Griffin, and Okongwu, and then Bay, and then Johnson. So I think Bay dropped 7 points in his first game, and he looks like he could be a good addition to the team. Hopefully for some 3-and-D, playing some wing, playing some defense, getting some rebounds, hitting open threes, and he has some pretty good size to him. So I think that's helpful. They were having him sub in and out with John Collins that one game I was watching. I'm sorry. So I think he's been I think he's a decent addition. I'm glad that trade finally went through. There was some rumblings of that trade possibly not going through with some medical stuff on one of the other players, Gary Payton, but that actually went through and was fine. So hope the Hawks are enjoying the break, being the official team of the Dep Lewis Show. And next week's show, I might have a little bit to talk about with them, so I will let you know. So go Hawks, go. Let's finish the second half of the season strong. All right. And the official. All right, so the official sport of the Dep Lewis Show is Major League Baseball. And the official Major League Baseball team of the Dep Lewis Show is the Atlanta Braves. So once again, March 30th, 2023 is when the season starts. Brave spring training starts Friday, February 25th, 1:05 p.m. versus the Red Sox. So there's been a lot of content on the internet of the guys being at spring training, getting themselves right, doing all the training, showing up. I saw Travis d'Arnaud riding around on a scooter. I saw Sean Murphy taking some batting practice, and I'm getting hyped for Sean Murphy, the new catcher. I kind of, not forgot that happened, but that was one of our biggest acquisitions of the offseason, and he's supposed to be a stud. So I am starting up the hype train for the Sean Murphy. I'm starting up the train for Sean Murphy, the hype train, and all aboard that bitch. So go Braves, go. I'm going to be tuning in. I'll probably be watching some spring training stuff, and I'm definitely watching all the news. They're talking about Soroka. I think he had a little bit of a setback. Max Fried lost his second arbitration round, but he didn't seem to be too salty about it, so he's handling that like a pro. And I think he's another one they need to pay. So pay damn Max Fried, pay damn Brian Burns, listen to the Dep Lewis Show, or be a fool. That's what I got to say to you. And that's just my general advice every day. Listen to this show or you're a fool. You're a damn fool if you don't listen to the Dep Lewis Show. It's the best show in the universe for video games and other things. So if you're not listening, then that just looks bad on you. You don't want to be the only one not listening. So download this podcast, listen to it, share it, listen to it again, play it all day, whatever you want to do. Actually, not whatever you want to do. Listen to this show. Listen to this show. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to end the show before I go crazy telling you to listen to this show. So just thank you as always for listening to this show. This was the end of the Miscellaneous Talk section. We talked about the Carolina Panthers. We talked about the Super Bowl. We talked about the Panthers coaching staff. We talked about the Atlanta Hawks being on the break for All-Star Weekend. We talked about the Hawks coming back on February 24th against Cleveland. We talked about the Braves getting ready to start the season. And just love the sports. Love the sports like I love the video games. And right now we are in the time where there's only some basketball going on. So there's a little bit of the lull in my love of sports. Actually, Major League Soccer starts next week, so that's kind of cool too. But right now it's mainly the basketball show until the baseball show starts, and then you'll have to be hearing a lot of baseball talk in this section. So just prepare yourself for that. And I'm preparing myself for that too because I'm excited. I'm excited to have a show where I can talk about some baseball for part of it. So we'll be talking about the Braves and hopefully them having much success. I just want to shout out Ronald Acuna. He's my favorite player, Ronald Acuna Jr. I hope he's going to have a monster season. I would love for him to win an MVP and get the Braves back in some major playoff contention. That's the main goal. Obviously, I want them to win the whole thing and win the World Series, but I'll be okay if we're in some major playoff contention, making a good run at it. I think that's more of a realistic hope, and it's hard to reach that mountaintop, so I just want my guys to be in it towards the end and have a chance at it. Is all I can really wish for, besides wishing for the big home run of them winning the whole thing. But just go Braves is all I gotta say. And all I gotta say to you is thank you for listening to this show. This has been Dep Lewis Show, episode 20. Follow the Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review. Turn on notifications and tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback you have to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, and more on my Buzzsprout page. Clips are on YouTube and TikTok. Go check out the Dep Lewis Shows Off series. Dep Lewis Shows Off Dead Space is the first one released. You can watch this on YouTube or you can watch it ad-free on Patreon if you're a ground floor tier subscriber. So go subscribe to the Patreon. Patreon.com/DepLewisShow. Go follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/DepLewisShow. Just thank you for all your support. I hope you have a wonderful week out there in your world. Hope you have a lot of success. I hope you play some video games. I hope you have some fun. I hope you make some money. I hope the sun is shining. And just shout out to you. And just thank you for listening to the show. And please come back next week for episode 21. Because that's where I'll be. And I'll be looking forward to it. So I will see you next time. Have fun video gaming out there.